Zach, so you and I talked about Gary Patterson about a week or two ago and the possibility he would be the defensive coordinator at USC based on a report from wearesc.com. Scott Schrader, good reporting over there by him. And in his report, he talked about how Gary Patterson was in talks with USC, but that it didn't look like things were going to surface because Gary Patterson wanted to bring in his own staff. Well, for USC, that is not was not the best news in the world to them. They like Doug Belk, they like Eric Henderson, they think those guys do a good job, and now they want to bring in Mike Eckler. It sounds like that's not a done deal yet, but it's trending that way according to multiple reports from both sides of this. And it sounds like Mike Eckler has also been lured away with the ability to coach linebackers in addition to coaching special teams. And so you put 2 and 2 together there with this tweet from Chris Lowe saying Hall of Fame to Troy. Now, maybe he's just doing a play on words there. Maybe he's making a prediction here. Who knows? But if this were to happen, maybe that means that there was a change of heart for Gary Patterson. Maybe he just wants to be in the game so bad that he's willing to say, I don't have to hire my own staff. I'll do the staff that you have. It's going to be a very interesting thing that happens. But Zach, my question to you to start off is, what USC fans were not happy in the comments about firing the staff and bringing in new guys. If this Gary Patterson hire happens and they're able to keep their staff and they're able to bring Mike Eckler on as linebacker coach, talk about him in a minute. But if they're able to do that, would this be a good hire for USC?
One thing to note with the people being upset in the chat, the reason is because they were making the point that if the defensive staff was let go in favor of a brand new staff, that it would affect recruiting, which I think is a decent thought. It is,
but I also think we need to recognize that recruiting nowadays has more to do with money than anything else. Yes, you need good recruiters, but
yes,
that
was going to be my next. You stole the words from me.
Sorry, I didn't mean to steal it.
No, but I think it's just helpful to note, like 3 or 4 years ago, that's a bigger consideration, which is why I think neither of us were in favor of Patterson coming in and just being there 2 weeks ago. I wouldn't say I'm not in favor of it. I'm just unsure, right? It could go great, right? It's similar, like Chip Kelly came in for 1 year at Ohio State, and there were bumps in that road. People kind of talk about it like rose-colored glasses, like it worked. They won a national championship. Man, do you know how many people were ready to run him out of Columbus after Michigan? It wasn't all sunshine and rainbows for Chip Kelly, but he got the job done. Is that the same kind of story with Gary Patterson, who hasn't been a coach for 5 years, 4 years? I forget how many years it's been. He's been a consultant.
2021 was his final season at TCU.
Yeah. So it'll mark 5 years that he has been any type of coach. Obviously he was a head man. Does he, as a defensive coordinator, can he coexist with Lincoln Riley? Can he be the head man without hiring his own staff? I think there's just lots of questions. I think the name is great. I think the knowledge and the wisdom, obviously great. He's clearly a respected name in this industry. So in terms of cachet, it's great. And I think anyone who says otherwise, it would be the same as us trashing Pat Fitzgerald going to Michigan State, right? The name and the cachet and the respect, it's all there. But when it comes down to it, it's about people who can not just coach, but manage. Can Gary Patterson manage a group of people that are not people he picked? Probably, but I think there's questions.
Yeah, I totally think he can. I mean, the guy was a head coach long enough that he managed enough different people at TCU. I don't have the entire roster of all the coaches that he was the head coach of at TCU in front of me. But you're not a head coach for over 10 years, become the winningest head coach in program history at a place without having multiple different staff members that you have to. Now he, to be fair, he hired those staff members before, so yes, that is a difference there to your credit. But to me, I thought of Pat Fitzgerald as well. But to me, this is kind of like Chip Kelly to Ohio State.
Yep.
Chip Kelly had some questions around him. People said he was washed. People said that he wasn't no good anymore. He hadn't been an offensive coordinator in a long time. He comes to Ohio State. They do a great job. They win a national championship. I'm not saying USC is going to win a national championship next year or anything if Gary Patterson's there, but I am saying that there is value in bringing in a former head coach to be on the side of the football where you need the most leadership. And right now for USC, that's where they need the most leadership. And to me, if Gary Patterson comes and he keeps all the coaches that were there before, great. I don't want him to go out and fire those guys because I think they do have good coaches on the defensive side of the ball. I'm not saying that they should, but I did feel like originally that it would be worth it to get Gary Patterson because of that head coach mindset of the defense that it seems like USC needs right now. D'Anton Lynn, great defensive coordinator. He did a great job at UCLA. I think he did a pretty good job at USC. I think he's going to do a good job at Penn State, but he's young. He's not been a head coach before. That was tough. Gary Patterson has been a head coach. He's seen it all as a head coach at TCU. For him to come in, lead a staff, lead the position rooms, I think he can do it, and I think it would be a really good fit for USC. Switching over to the other side here, Zach, Mike Eckler is.
Do you mind to just make one point off that?
Real quick, yeah, real quick.
I'll just say I think there is a value, especially for Lincoln Riley, that Gary Patterson is an older man that he could get and glean some wisdom from. Because I think Lincoln Riley's had a rough stretch. Obviously, he had a great year this past year. Good year, not great year, but good year this year. But it could be helpful to have a mentor type figure on his staff where he can ask questions and he can be a calming presence. I do think that is a net positive if they would go this direction.
Well, it would be a net positive for Eric Henderson too if they want him to be the eventual defensive coordinator someday, right? Mm-hmm. If Gary Patterson's there for 2 or 3 years, make Eric Henderson his co-defensive coordinator, and then he can take over afterward. I think that would be fantastic. Going over to the other side with Mike Eckler, Zach, if Mike Eckler is in fact, and every indication looks like he's going to be, if Mike Eckler is in fact their linebackers coach, how do you feel about that hire in addition to him splitting time as a special teams coordinator?
I mean, I really think it's a good hire for special teams. I think I'd keep him there. Because if you look at his linebacker resume, I don't know why you'd hire him for linebackers.
It's not like terrible. It's not like he's gone places and the linebackers are just falling around. Like, like he was there in 2013 with the USC.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say that like it was good and it was like the best thing ever. I'm just saying it's not like you're hiring in there and like the linebackers are going to be terrible. And it's like, well, we just hope the special teams are good.
Yeah. Well, not terrible, but again, you're USC, right? You want to
they also hired Rob Ryan as pro church. So he's better than Rob Ryan. I agree. That's terrible. Anyway, sorry I interrupted you.
Well, but I guess my point is, I think it's not a bad hire. I mean, I'd love to have them get someone who is maybe more of an up and coming guy as your linebackers coach, who like is a hot young name, hot young coach, and then let Eckler be the special teams guy where I think he's really doing a much better job. Sorry, I just realized I started waving at my light. I talk with my hands and my light.
You get used to the light.
Blocked. Get it. Yeah, getting used to the light. But I don't know, especially nowadays that you can have so many coaches, it's unlimited. Why not? And maybe that is part of the play is he's linebackers coach in name only, but really he's employing GAs or younger coaches and quality control coaches to coach up the linebackers coaches so that in a year or two they promote. I would like that idea, but I'm not sure I love that he's the head man for linebackers. That's just me.
See, that is that's a reason to me why I'm fine with it. I think you had to probably give him some kind of, positional raise on the staff in order to lure him away from Nebraska, and if you're going to call him linebackers coach, give him 2 or 3 assistants there that are analysts at linebacker, and just let him go to work with it. I mean, to me, that would be. I mean, Ohio State basically did that with their offensive line coach. They hired a guy who's a really good recruiter and said, "Here, we're going to give you 2 or 3 assistants," and they're essentially going to coach the offensive line with you, but you are the face that is going to be the recruiter, because we've not been recruiting well enough at this position. I mean, that's basically what they did, and it didn't work out great at the end of the year, but it's also his first year. We'll see how it goes. But I'm fine with it. I think it would be even more reason to make him the linebacker coach, in my opinion, if it works out that way. If that's the plan, we don't know if that's the plan or not. So
yeah, that's a good point.
But
it's good.
All right. Anything else on the USC staff stuff?
No, it'll be interesting to see if this does materialize for sure. It would be good to have Gary Patterson back as a coach in college football.
Mm-hmm. As long as Rob Ryan isn't there.
Oh,
sorry.
Rob's
catching strays. All right. Hey, like the video for us. Subscribe to the channel. Do all that good stuff. Listen, we hit 5,000 subscribers, and we're continuing to grind and everything, and trying to put out more content for you guys and everything. We're getting into the off season. Stay connected here with us at the Big Ten Huddle. Like, subscribe, do all that good stuff for us, and we'll have a good time here together.